What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to TTP Sports. That's a nice sweep for your Philadelphia Phillies, ever lowering the magic number to clinch a postseason berth and also the magic number for the National League East. Also, if you want to also throw in the magic number for the bye week, that'll keep getting lower the amount of times you win. So, right now, I believe the magic number to clinch a postseason berth is 8 after this win, plus the Braves losing to the Washington Nationals. Sadly, that doesn't affect the NL East magic number. I think only Mets losses affect that. Sadly, the fucking Mets ended up winning their game this afternoon against the Toronto Blue Jays, where they were getting no hit through the ninth inning, and it started with a Francisco Lindor leadoff solo shot in the top of the ninth, and basically the Mets offense went off against the terrible, terrible, terrible Blue Jays bullpen, and goddamn, the Blue Jays just can't be terrible for once. I know they won yesterday against the Mets, but could you have won the fucking series and help us out a little bit here? Like, come on. But the Phillies are controlling their own destiny right now. Get a really good sweep and a really much needed sweep here of a Rays team that you should be beating. Granted, yes, the offensive production today, granted to the lineup's perspective, because there was no Kyle Schwarber today, even though he was originally in the lineup. Rob took him out before the game because Schwarber was still feeling a little bit of discomfort in his elbow when taking at bats. So hopefully, Rob says he's not concerned, but with the way that the injuries are piling with this team, I'm going to have my skepticism for a little bit here until I see Schwarber in the lineup. Well, it does feel like we are getting reinforcements for the Mets series. I'm sure Alec Bohm will be back at that point. JT Realmuto is most likely going to be back for the Mets series. Not sure about Edmundo Sosa's case. He probably won't be, but you will be getting some bodies back, which is very, 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 very important here. Zach Wheeler for today's game, still go 6 innings, get yourself a quality start, even though I don't think he had the best stuff out there. Definitely fought through command, got a lot of swings and misses, but when the Rays were making contact, it definitely was harder contact. So it definitely wasn't the best version of Zach Wheeler, but not the best version of Zach Wheeler still gives you a quality start out there and puts you in a position to win the game. So that just describes how good Zach Wheeler is in general. So that's just even fun to think about. And Nick Castellanos hits a nice little 2-run shot. And of course, the Twitterverse goes absolutely insane because it is September 11th, honoring, the great tragedy so many years ago. And of course, Nick Castellanos being Nick Castellanos and hitting home runs at the worst possible times and being the meme that it is, Twitter went crazy because of it. My God. My God, people will go crazy for anything, but it's at this point it's not even coincidental because Nick Castellanos really just hits home runs at the worst possible times. The worst spot. Like, does he even realize it at this point? I have no idea, but he gets a 2-run shot, puts the Phillies up 2-0. The Rays do chip back into the game. Zach Wheeler definitely did have to deal with a lot of, men on base through certain innings. I believe he allowed a leadoff triple or something like that to start one of the innings, and he managed to retire the next 3 guys in a row with strikeouts. So he did allow some damage on the base paths. Thankfully, it was only 2 runs that scored. One of those runs was a solo shot in the top of the 6th inning to tie things up, but the Phillies did take the lead in the bottom of the 6th, and that's where they would stand put because the bullpen was very impressive tonight once again. They've been absolutely electric. Matt Strom in the 7th, very good. Jose Alvarado has been very, very, very good since coming from his leave of absence, so hopefully everything that was probably piling up in his head, maybe all the stress and anxiety that has to do with his family that was going down where he lived, maybe that's all settled now, and now he can just relax, go out there and pitch, and that's exactly what he's been doing in his past so many outings. He hasn't allowed a run. He just looks like pure Jose Alvarado, and that's very fun to watch. And then Estevez, very good in the 9th inning. Also, a little bit of help from Garcia behind the plate with an absolute cannon to throw out a runner trying to steal second base. So that was absolutely crucial right there as well. And it results in a nice Phillies sweep of the Tampa Bay Rays. Now the Phillies are 30 games above 500. Definitely wasn't expecting that when you come into the season. 30 games above 500. It's very fun to think about. 88 and 58. And hey, Not the best offensive performance, but I guess at this point, with the way your lineup is shaping up, you need your pitching to stand out. And your pitching has been, except for Ranger Suarez and their fifth starter, but Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Christopher Sanchez, and the bullpen. They've been basically pretty good for a while now. We'll throw away Nola's last start against the Marlins, and we'll see if he bounces back on Friday with a very huge, start to the series against the New York Mets. This is basically the series that will decide the NL East, most likely at this case, because I think there are a lot of scenarios that I did see the other day. So it's like, granted, I'm not saying this is going to happen whatsoever. This is just, projections and all that stuff and like, the best case scenario and everything like that. So the Phillies, Mets, obviously they play this weekend, and also the Atlanta Braves, they go out west. No, actually, I don't think they go out west. I think the Dodgers actually come to Atlanta. Regardless, they're playing a 3-game weekend series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. So we'll see where that goes as well. But like, say the Phillies and the Mets, the Phillies sweep the Mets. That is, so right now their magic number is at 9 for the NL East. So that's 6 points docked off your NL East clinching scenarios right there, and every Braves loss knocks down your magic number berth. So if you're realistically thinking about this, you could clinch a postseason berth, best case scenario, at the end of this weekend if you do sweep the Mets and if the Braves get swept by the Dodgers. And then you'll have a magic number of 1 to clinch the NL East when you play in Milwaukee on Monday. And like I said, this is all best case scenario stuff. I don't think it's going to happen. Take 2 or 3 for the Mets. Whatever happens in Atlanta with the Braves and the Dodgers happens there. You control your own destiny at the end of the day. You got to beat the Mets. That's first and foremost. That is the most important thing right there. Really just is. And, especially these are really 2 huge series that the Phillies, actually 3 series in a row that are huge, because you got Mets obviously this weekend, then the Brewers, and then another 4-game series against the Mets. These are a very huge stretch of, 10 games? A very huge stretch, which could basically decide what happens with the postseason. Really can decide that. So it is uber important that you win these games, because obviously with the Mets, it revolves around the NL East, and obviously with the Brewers, it revolves around getting a bye week. So some big series upcoming here for your Fightin' Phils. Some very, very, very big series here. I would like to see them try to clinch the NL East in that Milwaukee series. Like I said, I think for me that's the best case scenario. Knowing baseball gods and all of that, it'll come down to that 4-game series against the Mets. But we'll see what happens in that case. Hopefully you get some bodies back into the lineup. Hopefully Alec Bohm is nice and rested and healed and all that stuff. Same thing with JT Realmuto. We'll see where Kyle Schwarber is after the day off tomorrow. I'm sure he'll be in the lineup for the Mets series. I'm sure he's not going to want to miss that whatsoever. And we'll see. I know Colby Allard is supposed to start on Saturday, so that'll definitely be very interesting from that perspective. But control your own destiny. You got to win your games, and we'll see where it takes us from there. The Mets definitely haven't been playing their best baseball in the past couple of games. Obviously, they lost on Tuesday, or lost yesterday to the Blue Jays, but, it took until the 9th inning for them to wake up. So maybe their offense is coming down a little bit in the past couple of games, so maybe that's the benefit there. But your pitching still has to be sharp. Aaron Nola really needs to have a bounce back from that last game that he pitched against Miami. He really needs to have a good game right here. Really is going to have to. And your bullpen is going to have to keep, doing what it's been doing over the past few series here, and that's being absolutely electric and absolutely elite. That's how fantastic your bullpen has been, basically, I would say, since the Kansas City Royals series. It's been that good. It has been that good. And adding Jose Alvarado back into that mix with the way he has been pitching in this past couple of outings, that takes your bullpen to a whole different level, because now you have 2 lefty options there in the back end of games with Strom and Alvarado now, on top of having Kerkering, on top of having Jeff Hoffman, and on top of having Carlos Estevez. That is very huge for your bullpen. You can even throw Ruiz in there as an early option, because he's been very good as well. So those are 6 good options for your bullpen. And then you have your long relief guys, your depth guys that we don't really want to talk about at the end of the day, but those are the 6 crucial pieces to your bullpen. I would say Ruiz is not as crucial as the other guys, but it's still like, Ruiz, Kerkering, probably not as crucial to the bullpen, but, Kerkering has been very good as of late as well. Like I said with Ruiz, basically all 6 of those guys have been very good for a couple of weeks now. And that is very important going into the backstretch. And that is very important if they can keep that up going into the postseason. That is very, very, very important there. Very important. So, if we do look at the standings just to see where things are placed now going in to this weekend series with the Mets. So right now you are 8 games ahead of the Mets and 9 games ahead of the Atlanta Braves. And currently right now on ESPN, it does say that the Braves have a better playoff percentage chance than the Mets do. So I'm not sure if that's garnering the Mets schedule to finish off the year and the Braves schedule combined, because I do know the second to last series of the year, the Mets and the Braves do play each other. So that could very well decide what happens with that, last wild card spot. That can very well decide it right there. I know the Mets also play the Brewers at the same time, the final series of the year, because the Brewers definitely will be fighting for something. But yeah, it's definitely gonna be an interesting end to the season without a doubt, 100%. So, if we go into this game and see how everything is turning out right here. So basically, offensively, you get a Nick Castellanos 2-run shot with 2 outs in the bottom of the first inning to put the Phillies up 2-0. The Rays did respond in the top of the second inning. They got a 1 run in there, cut the lead in half, so it was a 2-1 game. Phillies did have their chances throughout the ball game. And then the Rays, they eventually tie it in the top of the 6th inning. But then there was that 1 inning where it was a leadoff triple for the Rays in the top of the 3rd, and then Zach Wheeler struck out the next 3 batters. So that was absolutely huge. In the top of the 4th, he allowed a leadoff double. Then he eventually got, the next 3 guys out as well. So that was very huge there from Zach Wheeler. Top 5, he allowed a 1-out walk, got out of that unscathed. And then the 6th inning happened where he allowed the solo shot to tie the game up. Basically there. Then you go to the bottom of the 6th. This is where the Phillies responded, all with 2 outs, by the way. So Castellanos works a walk, so a dreaded 2-out walk right there. Brandon Marsh singles, which moves Castellanos over to third base. And then Weston Wilson, basically a swinging bunt, basically goes to nowhere land in the infield. Everyone's safe because of that. The run scores. Wilson's safe at first. Marsh is safe at second. Get a 3-2 Phillies lead right there. And that's basically the rest of the way the game goes. Matt Strom gets a 1-2-3 inning in the 7th. Alvarado a 1-2-3 inning in the 8th. Topped off with a freaking scary ass play because Cody Clemens, Bryson Stott, and Nick Castellanos had no idea where the ball was in right field, and somehow it just popped in to Nick Castellanos' glove. So that was a fun adventure. Definitely was not fun. Definitely made me panic a little bit. But, yeah, nice 1-2-3 there for Alvarado. In the top of the 9th, Estevez did allow a 1-out single, so the tying run was on the base paths. But then, like I said, the huge cannon by Garcia behind the plate to get that out at second base, which basically just secured things right there because then you get a nice little chopper over to Cody Clemens. You get the final out there at first base. Estevez gets the save, and it's good to see him, come out of there after taking that one off the knee the other day. So that is very good to see there from Estevez that he is okay. So that's very good to see right there. Looking at the lineup today, not much offense, obviously. There was only 5 hits for both teams. Bryson Stott was put into the leadoff spot today. He goes 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Trey Turner, he goes 1 for 4. Bryce Harper, 0 for 4. Nick Castellanos, he goes 1 for 2 with a 2-run shot and also a walk. He did get hit by a pitch again. This time, I don't think it was as intentional as it was yesterday. It was an off-speed pitch that hit him in the elbow, so definitely wasn't intentional in that perspective. Brandon Marsh, he goes 1 for 4. Weston Wilson goes 1 for 2 with I believe he walked, and also, we got that RBI in there. Cody Clemens, he goes 0 for 3. Johan Rojas goes 1 for 3, and then Garcia, as the backup catcher, goes 0 for 3. The Phillies, they go 1 for 4, but runners in scoring position. And then looking at the pitching matchups, Zach Wheeler, 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, and 9 strikeouts. 3 walks definitely showcases the command issues for Zach Wheeler today, but like I said, he still managed to give you a quality start right there. So even when Zach Wheeler doesn't have his best stuff, he's still going out there and doing his thing. 6 innings, only 2 earned runs, 9 strikeouts. So he's doing something right out there. Matt Strom, 15 pitches in the 7th inning of work for a 1-2-3. Alvarado only needed 7 pitches in the 8th inning to get the 1-2-3 there, and Estevez only threw 10 in the ninth inning of work to get the save. So very good stuff there by the bullpen. Some very good stuff overall. So you sweep out this Tampa Bay team, which basically you should have. And hey, you've been playing a very good baseball as of late. Honestly, if we go back to just look at the entire schedule right here, I would say going back to that Kansas City series. So if we go back to that Kansas City series, what is that? 3 games, 6 games, 10, 12, 16, 19. So in the past 19 games, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 6 losses in the past 19. So they're 13-6 in their last 19 games. So they've been playing very well in the recent stretch. So that is basically the perfect time to start figuring things out here. So after this series with the Tampa Bay Rays, now that is up, you have the off day tomorrow, which is definitely a much-needed off day for this team. You got the Mets, obviously, this weekend, so you're going to have Aaron Nola on Friday going up against Jose Quintana. Jose Quintana kind of does give this team a little bit of fits, so we'll see where that goes. Then it's Colby Allard on Saturday going up against Luis Severino. Severino has been very sharp for the Mets this year, so that'll be a tough matchup. And then Christopher Sanchez is going to be on Sunday against a to-be-determined pitcher for the Mets, so we'll figure out what's going to be there, I guess, during this series. Then if you go to the Milwaukee Brewers series, you're going to have Ranger Suarez going up against Colin Ray. He's been very good for the Brewers this year. Then it's Zach Wheeler on Tuesday against Frankie Montas. He is 6-10 with a 4.69 ERA. He came over to the Brewers, and I believe at the trade deadline, if I'm not mistaken, or a trade earlier this year. I forget when that happened. And then on Wednesday, it'll be Aaron Nola going up against Tobias Myers, who has been very sharp for the Brewers as well. So, and then basically after that Brewer series, it's the 4-game set with the Mets, with a couple of national broadcasts mixed in there, a Fox and Apple TV and an ESPN game. So we'll see where that goes right there. And it looks like we're probably going to have to figure out who's going to start that Thursday game against the Mets. So we'll see. And then after that Mets series, it's 3 games at home, the final home series of the year against the Cubs, and then 3 games on the road to close out the season against the Washington Nationals. So very important stuff right there. And in terms of everything else, I know the Dodgers lost again to the Cubs last night, so that definitely helped in terms of standings-wise. I know the Brewers won last night, so that really didn't change anything there. And the Brewers right now, it looks like their game just started with the San Francisco Giants, so we'll see what happens with that game today. Blake Snell is on the mound for the Giants, so that might be in their benefit, but Colin Ray is also pitching for the Brewers, so we'll see where that goes. We'll see where that goes. And like I said, in terms of the league standings, you're now a game and a half ahead of the Dodgers for that first seed in the National League, so that is very good to see. And also, you are 4 games ahead of the Milwaukee Brewers, so that is very good in that spot as well. And I also believe you have the best record in baseball right now. Yep, you do have the best record in baseball behind the Dodgers and the Brewers. So it's very good stuff right there. Some very good stuff there by the Phillies. Some solid stuff overall. Nice to see. Very, very, very nice to see. So, in terms of anything else, we already looked at the schedule. We looked at the standings a bunch of times. Day off tomorrow, so we'll see where everything takes us overall. And that's basically it from there. Going to go refresh the Twitterverse just to see if there's any updates on, I guess, from Rob Thompson in terms of injury-based and everything like that. Talking about Kyle Schwarber. Maybe he talks about anyone that's going to be available for this Mets series. Like I said, I think JT is coming back. Hopefully, Bohm is coming back. I never really heard much on Bohm. That's just me assuming there at the end of the day, but I do think we will be getting bodies there basically when that series starts. And like I said, it also does help that you got the off day tomorrow, so some guys can get some rest there as well. Here's a stat for you. This is the first time since September 28th of 2011 that the Phillies are 30 games above 500. So, hey, they're playing better at the right time right now. So that is very important right there. I also want to see what else is there. I want to see what else is there. I remember seeing a stat, or like a record-wise stat, that I saw on my Twitter feed, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find that. Oh, here it is. Here it is. So this guy is just Mike on Twitter, MHC_76. I don't think he's affiliated with anything. I think he's just posting stats right here. So I'm assuming this is after the win. Phillies have won 9 of 11, 14 of 18, 19 of 27, and 23 of 36. There was a point in early August where people started making the point that the Phillies were average as long as they were good, which was correct at the time. The Phillies went 18 and 8 during their slump, and they are 19 and 8 since. The surge has lasted longer than the slump. Also, their record since June 1st, which everyone, including me, was freaking out about a month ago, is now 48 and 40, which is nothing to pop champagne about, but that is around a 91 pace. It's amazing to see how quickly things turned around for this team. Yep, that definitely is a very important point right there. They, rightfully so, we were all very worried about this team when they were going through that major slump for that couple months span, but it does seem they seem to figure it out, which, probably was the right thing to believe with this ball club. So, right now they have the best record in baseball. They're the best record in the National League so far, a game and a half above the Dodgers and 4 games above the Brewers, depending on what the Brewers do tonight. And we'll see what happens after this stretch with the Mets up here. This weekend, it's very crucial. Your berth, the magic number to clinch a playoff berth is 8 games, and the magic number to clinch a playoff in the NL East division is 9 games. So you can definitely help yourself a lot by beating the Mets this weekend. Definitely will help a lot. And like I said, with the Atlanta Braves, I do believe they are playing the Dodgers as well. So let's see. So with the Braves, so it looks like it was only a 2-game series against the Nationals, and I think that Monday game against Cincinnati was a makeup game or something like that. So yes, they'll have. No, it's a 4-game series the Braves actually have with the Dodgers, so that'll be definitely interesting from that perspective. And then after the Dodgers, they got a 3-game series against Cincinnati, then a 3-game series against Miami, then a 3-game series at home against the Mets, and then a 3-game series at home to close out the year against Kansas City. So that'll be interesting from the Braves' perspective. And going to the Mets' schedule, obviously they played the Phillies 7 times in this span going to the end of the season. But after, the games that are in between, so after they play the Phillies this weekend, they have a 3-game series at home against Washington, then 4 games at home, obviously, against the Phillies. Then after that, they go on the road to close out their season for 2 series, 3 games in Atlanta, and then 3 games in Milwaukee. That is a very tough 3 series to end the year. That is very tough for them. Well, it's a tough, 4 or 5 series. That's very tough for the Mets right here. 2 of those series against the Phils, and then the other 2 against Atlanta and Milwaukee. So that is very, very tough stuff for the Mets, and we'll see what they're made of going into this back stretch. We'll definitely see that 100%. So yeah, definitely some good stuff here overall. Some good stuff here. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I wish the fucking kind of wish the goddamn Blue Jays helped us out a little bit, but can't be too greedy. Can't be too greedy at the end of the day. Never can be too greedy with the baseball gods. So, if we're looking to this weekend, obviously, like I said, got to win 2 of 3 against this Mets team, and you got to hope that the Braves lose to the Dodgers. So, that's basically all it is right now. And with the Brewers, actually, I want to see their schedule. Let's see so obviously, they're playing San Fran right now for 3 games. Let's see who else they're playing after this. So after San Fran, they play. They're seeing Arizona a lot. They're playing 3 games in Arizona after the San Francisco series, and obviously the 3 games against the Phillies, 4 games at home against the Diamondbacks, 3 games on the road against Pittsburgh, and then those 3 games at home against the Mets to close out the year. And for the Dodgers, what's their schedule like to close out the year? What's their schedule like? Dodgers. Let me look at their schedule. So obviously they're playing this series against the Cubs, and they already lost those 2 games. And then after that, obviously it's the 4-game series against the Atlanta Braves. And their schedule definitely is probably easier than most going into the backstretch of the season. So after those 4 games against Atlanta, it's 3 games in Miami, 3 games at home against Colorado, 3 games at home against San Diego, and then 3 games on the road against Colorado. So it definitely is an easier schedule for the Dodgers than the other guys. That's what I would say right there. Interesting stuff at the end of the day right there, boys. No doubt. I do still want to see if there's anything important that strikes out from postgame. I don't think there's being anything posted right now on Twitter. So I'm assuming, obviously, Rob Thompson has not said anything that's noteworthy in terms of injuries and everything like that. So we'll see what happens in that span going over the next couple of days. But let's get to the Anytime Hotline here. Let's get to Sean. He has a voicemail for us to recap this nice Phillies sweep of Tampa Bay. So what has Sean got for us? Hit me with it.
This is pretty much a microcosm of how the Phillies are going to have to win games the way the lineup is constructed right now. The pitching's going to have to do some heavy lifting, and it did tonight. I didn't think Zach Wheeler was particularly sharp, but he got big outs at critical times. The bullpen doing great work, especially the last two nights. Great to see Jose Alvarado hopefully turning the corner. They're going to need him in the postseason and down the stretch. And once again, getting contributions from different guys. I mean, Weston Wilson with the rocket down the third baseline to drive in the winning run. Even Aramis Garcia, that was a hell of a throw to nail Caballero in the bottom of the ninth, or top of the ninth, rather. Just keep winning. I mean, the Mets series is going to be interesting. I know Quintana pitches like Cy Young against us, but got to find a way to score some runs Friday night. Got to find a way to get at least 2 out of 3 from them. Keep the momentum going. Keep that number 1 seed. I think it's crucial to keep that number 1 seed throughout the postseason. You need that home field advantage. You need everything to funnel through Citizens Bank Park.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that 100%. 100%. And I do think when all's said and done, I do think the Phillies get one of the top 2 seeds in the league because they have the tiebreaker over the Dodgers. If they win one more game against Milwaukee, they'll have the tiebreaker there. So that'll help to their benefit. I do think when all is said and done, they'll end up with one of the top 2 seeds and get that bye week and get home field advantage basically in the playoffs. So I think it will happen at the end of the day. So yeah, it's very crucial for the start Friday basically because it's going to be Aaron Nola, Allard, and Christopher Sanchez. So you're going to need Aaron Nola to have a very good game this week. You're going to need Aaron Nola big time, and he cannot have a game like he did against the fucking Marlins the other night. So hopefully that's, Aaron Nola, he got that out of the way so he saves up his good stuff for the Mets. And I do want to see Quintana's last few games. I actually do want to see that to see what his numbers have been recently. So I think that could definitely be a little telltale going into this game. But like I said, I do think he has good career numbers against the Phillies overall. Quintana, like I said, he's 8-9 with a 4.09 ERA. He's actually been good in his past 3 starts. Against San Diego, he didn't allow a single earned run in 6 1/3. Against the White Sox, he allowed an earned run. Against the Reds, he allowed no earned runs. But then previously, he allowed 7 earned runs to Baltimore, 4 earned runs to Oakland. So I guess it's a bit of a mixed bag with Quintana overall. What are his career numbers against the Phillies? Jose Quintana, career versus Phillies. Jose Quintana, in his career against the Phillies, he is 0-2 with an ERA of 3.94 and 71 strikeouts in 11 appearances. Interesting. So interesting. He's been getting a lot of no decisions with that. In his last start, in his last start that he pitched against the Phillies, he allowed 3 earned runs in 3 2/3 innings. When was that? That was one of the London games, wasn't it? I think it was. And one of his other starts against the Phillies this year was 5 1/3 innings. He allowed 2 earned runs, it looks like. Yep, that's what it looked like. Yep, that's basically what it looks like. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I think it's really more important for Aaron Nola to have a good game. I think that's the main thing right there. Aaron Nola needs to have a good game. So yeah, get to some of you guys here in the chat, and then we'll end it off here because I gotta go do some editing. So yeah, Austin and Corey, how are you doing? And also Dr. Drew, how are you doing? Nikki the Batman. Couldn't get any more poetic than that. Strom has been awesome. Yeah, definitely. I think the Cubs can sneak in. They have a very easy schedule the rest of the way, but who knows? Let's look at the Cubs. See where they're at. So the Cubs right now, they're 75-70. Look at their schedule the rest of the way. I guess you could figure that. They have Colorado after this last game against the Dodgers. They got 3 games against Oakland, which in theory they should win. Yeah, Oakland's not a good team, but they do rake. So whatever you want to put to that. Then they got a 4-game series against the Nationals, 3 games obviously against the Phillies, then 3 games to close out the season against the Reds. It definitely can happen. How many games are they out of the wild card, and how many games, and just all that there? Let's see. The Cubs, they're 4.5 out of the wild card, so they need a lot to go right for them. So basically, they need to rely on the Phillies sweeping the Mets and the Braves to basically get swept by the Dodgers. So the Cubs definitely do need a lot to go their way, I would say. I wonder how much Weston Wilson will play in the postseason. I think he'll be on the raw. Him and Cody Clemens deserve to be on the postseason roster, in my opinion. I think both of those guys deserve it from the way that they've contributed for us this year. Yep, definitely big series coming up, Dr. Drew. I know you're a Mets fan, so this should be intriguing for the both of us. Can't believe I actually want the Braves to win. If they can do some damage against the Dodgers while we bury the Mets, our top seeding will be all but guaranteed. I would prefer both of them lose, honestly. I prefer both of them lose. But yeah, it also does make sense because you do want the Dodgers to lose, so it helps us with the NL East, the National League standings. So it's understandable why you would think that. Understandable. But yeah, that'll do it for today, everybody. I appreciate you all for tuning in. As always, love you one and all. And that'll do it for today. So don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Does me a great deal of service. And also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SEATGEEK. Great deal. Do not pass it up. Thanks, guys, once again for tuning in. Tomorrow, we definitely could possibly do something tomorrow in terms of maybe previewing the Eagles Monday night football game, because this series with the Mets is going to be huge, and that should probably overtake anything with the Eagles, in my opinion. But maybe tomorrow we'll probably do some Eagles previews or stuff like that for Monday Night Football. So I'll keep you posted. You'll see something pop up in your subscription feed. So stay tuned for that.